fully recover by the start of next season. And yeah, that's really good. That's really good. Like, it just depends on if it was a full rupture. If it was a full tear without any damage to her ACLs or PCLs or any other ligament or LCL, she could be back. I reckon she'll be back to some basketball activities by Christmas at the latest. That would be my guess.
Recent reports from Indianapolis reveal significant developments regarding Caitlin Clark's current status with the Indiana Fever basketball team. The latest information comes directly from head coach Stephanie White during today's team practice session. The Indiana Fever resumed their training activities today, marking an important milestone as they prepare for upcoming games. However, the most notable development centers around their star players' participation level. According to White, Clark has yet to engage in full team practice sessions, which represents a crucial first step toward her return to active play. During today's practice, Clark was present at the facility but remained on the sidelines as an observer rather than a participant.
Yes. And that's being conservative a lot of the times. Like, there are times where you can come back after, like, if it's a grade 1 sprain, you're back in a few weeks. Not the end of the world. If it's grade 2, like, we don't know if it's going to be grade 2 or grade 3. It does say an MCL tear. I've seen grade 2s be referred to as MCL tears. Grade 1 obviously never is. And when it comes to grade 3,
she was spotted watching the session alongside teammate Ori McDonald and visitor Sophie Cunningham, who attended from the opposite baseline. This observation role indicates that her recovery process is still ongoing. The coaching staff has maintained a cautious approach regarding Clark's timeline for return. When pressed for specific details about her status, White emphasized that participation in practice remains the primary benchmark before any decisions about game readiness can be made. The coach's comments suggest that the situation continues to evolve on a daily basis without concrete projections. The team welcomed new addition Shea Petty, who recently signed with the organization and made her practice debut today.
And when it comes to grade 3, I do think in general they can be as conservative as they like. Like, you're not going to be out for a year with an MCL tear without other complications. There might be, for all we know, there might be other complications. And who knows when it's going to happen. But it's not an ACL tear. If this was an ACL tear, we'd be talking about whether or not Sophie Cunningham can come back for next season. Like, that would be the conversation.
This roster move demonstrates the franchise's continued efforts to strengthen their lineup during this period of uncertainty around their marquee player. Medical reports indicate that Clark sustained an MCL tear during a recent game against Connecticut. The injury occurred during routine defensive play in the paint when contact with another player resulted in immediate knee trauma. Initial assessment confirmed the tear, though medical professionals have noted this represents one of the more favorable knee injury outcomes in terms of recovery potential. The injury timeline has been complicated by the team's overall health challenges this season. Multiple players have faced significant physical setbacks, creating an unusual pattern of injuries that has tested the organization's depth and resilience.
Around Sophie Cunningham is whether or not she'll be back for next season and what the Indiana Fever are going to do with her contract. Whether the Indiana Fever are going to sign her with the hope that she plays, or the reality is that unless the Fever don't want her back, Sophie's back. I can see the Fever not wanting her back. I can see the Fever, I mean this when I say this, I can see the Fever not matching an offer for Lexi Hull. And I can see the Fever.
The medical staff has scheduled surgical intervention for Clark's knee injury, with the procedure planned for Friday. Sophie Cunningham, speaking on her podcast appearance, provided additional context about the injury incident. She clarified that the contact with Bria appeared to be incidental rather than intentional, describing it as typical basketball contact that unfortunately resulted in injury. Cunningham emphasized her positive relationship with the player involved and discouraged any negative reaction from fans toward the situation. The broader conversation around the incident has touched on officiating standards and player safety concerns throughout the league. Some observers have questioned whether adequate protection exists for players in high-contact situations, though Cunningham's perspective suggests the specific incident fell within normal basketball play parameters.
And I can see the Fever letting Sophie walk. I just don't trust this organization. I just don't. I just don't trust his front offices at all. I can see them letting Sophie Cunningham walk for somebody that maybe caused them less of a headache. Because let's be real, Sophie Cunningham is probably causing the Fever front office a lot of headaches with the crap that she's doing on social media. But yeah, it's not the most ideal scenario for the Fever.
Recovery expectations remain conservative, with medical professionals and team officials avoiding specific return dates. The standard protocol for MCL injuries typically involves surgical repair followed by extensive rehabilitation, suggesting Clark's absence may extend beyond initial hopes for a quick return. Team dynamics have been affected by the extended absence of their primary offensive catalyst. The coaching staff has worked to adapt their systems and rotations to accommodate the current roster limitations while maintaining competitive performance levels. The organization's medical team continues monitoring Clark's progress through various stages of the recovery process. Daily evaluations determine her participation level in team activities, with full practice involvement serving as the gateway to game consideration.
Fever that she's out injured for the season, but of all outcomes, it's probably the best. Like, of all outcomes, someone says, are they going to protect her in the expansion draft? Nobody is offering Sophie Cunningham. The only reason you would have to because she's an unrestricted free agent, the only reason you would protect her is if you think another team's going to supermax her. You think one or two expansion teams is going to take her in the expansion and core her, and that's not going to happen. That's not going to happen. My guess would be Ari McDonald is going to get taken in the expansion.
Fan expectations for Clark's return have been tempered by the medical realities of knee injury recovery. The cautious approach reflects both the severity of the injury and the organization's commitment to long-term player health over short-term competitive gains. Recent practice footage shows Clark moving around the facility without apparent difficulty, though her specific physical limitations remain undisclosed. The visual assessment suggests gradual improvement, but medical clearance requirements prevent immediate return to contact activities. The Indiana Fever's season trajectory has been significantly influenced by these injury challenges.
Ari McDonald is going to get taken in the expansion draft. And I think the Fever, and it could be a Seattle Storm situation where it's like they take nobody. There's a possibility they take nobody. At least not a year plus recovery like an ACL. Wouldn't even bring Caitlin back at this point. Tough news to some of y'all who've got to learn the names of their best players now. This is the thing you're grateful for. Yeah, like, look, this is the best scenario. This is the best case scenario.
Multiple key players facing extended absences has created opportunities for roster depth players while testing the organization's ability to maintain playoff positioning. Cunningham's family situation has added an interesting personal dimension to recent events, with her sister currently in labor during the podcast recording. This coincidental timing provided a lighter moment amid the serious injury discussions. The team's approach to injury management reflects current best practices in professional basketball, prioritizing comprehensive recovery over rushed return timelines. This methodology, while frustrating for immediate competitive goals, serves the player's long-term career interests.
Scenario. This is the best case scenario. That only leads to a full-blown ACL. What does that mean? No, like, she tore her MCL with no other damage by the looks of things. That is, of all knee injuries, if you're going to tear a ligament, you would rather it be an MCL. Because it's easy, it's a much easier recovery. Yes, it can affect you if there is anything lingering from the MCL tear, and it can affect you more because it's more about moving laterally.
Practice observations suggest that Clark remains engaged with team activities despite her inability to participate fully. Her presence during training sessions demonstrates commitment to team cohesion and her eventual return to active play. The coaching staff has emphasized patience throughout the recovery process, acknowledging that each player's healing timeline varies based on individual factors. This personalized approach ensures that medical decisions remain separate from competitive pressures. Looking ahead, the organization continues preparing for multiple scenarios regarding Clark's availability for remaining season games. Contingency planning includes both optimistic projections for her return and realistic assessments of extended absence possibilities. Sophie Cunningham's basketball campaign has come to an abrupt end due to a knee problem. This development wasn't unexpected, though many feared something more severe might have occurred. Initial concerns centered around potential ACL damage or patellar tendon issues based on how she was clutching her knee during the incident. The Indiana Fever organization has kept details minimal, stating only that it's a knee injury without further specifics. However, reporter Alexa Philippou has verified that Cunningham sustained an MCL tear. The positive news is that full recovery should occur well before the upcoming season begins. The severity of the injury remains unclear, whether it's a complete rupture or partial damage. Assuming no additional harm to the ACL, PCL, or LCL structures, basketball activities could resume as early as December. This timeline represents a cautious estimate, as recovery varies significantly based on the grade of the sprain. Grade 1 MCL sprains typically heal within weeks and aren't considered major setbacks. Grade 2 injuries, which are sometimes labeled as MCL tears, require longer recovery periods. Grade 3 tears represent the most serious category, but still don't typically require year-long rehabilitation unless complications arise. Unknown factors could certainly affect the recovery timeline, but the absence of ACL involvement eliminates the most concerning scenario. Had this been an ACL injury, discussions would focus on whether Cunningham could return at all next season, along with contract implications for the Fever organization. The current situation allows for much more optimism regarding her basketball future. Questions arise about Indiana's commitment to retaining Cunningham. The organization might choose not to match offers for players like Lexi Hall, or might allow Cunningham to depart in free agency. Trust issues exist regarding the front office's decision-making capabilities. Cunningham's social media presence has reportedly created organizational headaches, potentially influencing their retention decisions. Regarding the expansion draft, protection seems unnecessary given Cunningham's restricted free agent status. No team is likely to offer maximum contracts or select her as a core player during expansion. Ari McDonald appears more likely to be selected, though teams might choose no Indiana players entirely. The injury represents the best possible outcome among serious knee problems. MCL tears, while significant, offer easier recovery paths compared to other ligament injuries. The lateral movement aspects affected by MCL damage present some concerns, but overall prognosis remains favorable compared to alternative scenarios. Indiana finds itself in an exceptionally difficult position this season. Multiple setbacks have created what appears to be an almost impossible situation to overcome. The organization faces challenges that seem nearly insurmountable given current circumstances. The franchise's season has been plagued by continuous problems and disappointments. Strategic options appear limited, with some suggesting the team should focus on draft positioning rather than playoff pursuits. However, the team's competitive nature makes such approaches unlikely. Cunningham has established herself as one of the league's premier role players, making her retention crucial for the franchise. Financial considerations work in Indiana's favor, as Cunningham will likely accept team-friendly contracts. Her previous willingness to take reduced compensation demonstrates this commitment. She accepted $50,000 less annually in Phoenix to help the team's salary structure. The Phoenix Mercury trade sent her to a preferred destination, and similar loyalty exists toward Indiana. Cunningham shows no indication of wanting to leave the Fever organization, nor would she likely price herself beyond their budget constraints. Her dedication to the team and reasonable contract expectations make retention a logical decision. Should Indiana fail to retain both Cunningham and Hall, it would represent a significant organizational failure. The franchise cannot afford to lose key contributors, especially those willing to accept below-market contracts for team success.